Still at the tea farm, only this time in a sarangbang as part of the farm, and as coincidence would have it, reading Will Self's recent column in The Guardian. I'm going to quote just a section of it. The main objection to this, I think, is at once profoundly commonsensical and curiously subtle. The literary critic Robert Adams observed that if postmodernism was to be regarded as a genuine cultural era, then it made modernism itself a strangely abbreviated one. After all, if we consider that all other Western cultural eras, classicism, medieval, the Renaissance, seem to average about half a millennium apiece, it hardly matters whether you date modernism's onset to Rousseau, Sturm und Drang, or Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. It clearly has a long way to go. By the same token, if, as many seem keen to assert, postmodernism has already run its course, then what should we say has replaced it? Postmodernism, perhaps? It would seem better all around to accept the truth, which is that we are still solidly within the modernist era, and that the crisis registered in the novel form in the early 1900s by the inception of new and more powerful media technologies continues apace. The use of montage for transition, the telescoping of fictional characters into their streams of consciousness, the abandonment of the omniscient narrator, the inability to suspend disbelief in the artificialities of plot. These were always latent in the problematic of the novel form, but in the early 20th century, under pressure from other juvenescent narrative forms, the novel began to flounder. The polymorphous, multilingual perversities of the later Joyce and the extreme existential asperities of his fellow exile Beckett are both registered as authentic responses to the tedium vitae of the form, and so accorded tremendous guarded respect, if not affection. It's a nice piece of writing, and it's got some interesting ideas in it, and I tend to agree with Self's questioning of whether we've really left modernism. I think it's a point that really deserves its own debate, but I do call into question this idea that the novel entered a crisis from which it has not emerged in the early 1900s. The early 1900s, have a cup of tea, well,